If you look like traditionally good looking, if you're a handsome guy, whatever, you do more commercial stuff. Like you would work for like Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Adidas, that kind of brand. But if you look kind of weird, it's true. Like if you look kind of weird, you have distinguishable features. Like for example, I have this gap between my teeth.
I was gonna say it. I didn't want to be rude, but that's a good feature.
Thank you.
That's a good feature.
You know what? I hated my gap when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was bullied in Germany by my friends. You know, they were like, "Guck mal, die verdammte Zahnlücke an, sieht aus wie ein Spast, Junge." And
that sounds like a thing a bully would say.
And,
but I love that you say you were bullied by your friends. That's
yeah.
Here you get bullied by your enemies, but in Germany it's my mom and my friends. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am so excited today to talk to, I guess, my first international guest here.
Let's go.
All the way from Germany, from a small town called Eipischbach-Huschwanfried.
You did it.
It's Mario Adrion.
Thank you so much.
Now, how do you pronounce your hometown?
It's called Eipischbach im Hochschwarzwald.
Okay, so I said it perfectly.
Exactly what you said. Just a little bit more anger. You need, as a German, you need some of that anger, that pent up frustration.
Let me try a little anger. Eipischbach-Huschwanfried.
Even angrier.
Eipischbach-Huschwanfried.
There we go. That's it.
My wife and I were practicing. I was like, don't think I'm gonna not give you the best attempt.
I respect that.
So I want to get you from Huschwanfried.
That's right.
To Los Angeles, California. I want to find out how you made it out here. And all I know about you is male model turned YouTube sensation, billions of views, and now very funny stand-up comedian. So how did this all happen?
Dude, it's a good question, because in Eipischbach im Hochschwarzwald, there is no modeling industry. There's nothing there. There's no stand-up. Germans don't laugh, so there's no stand-up in general. But so when I was 18 years old, I was supposed to be an engineer in Germany, like a good German boy. I was studying to become an engineer.
Yeah, make some Mercedes.
Exactly. All my friends in Germany, by the way, out of my 10 closest friends, 8 of them work for Mercedes right now and are engineers.
Wow.
So I'm the only one who's kind of going against the grain. And when I was 18 years old, as I was studying engineering, I got a message on Facebook from a modeling scout in New York, and he saw some shirtless photos of me, and he was like, "Hey, gorgeous, you should come to New York and be a model. P.S. You can stay with me at my place in Harlem."
All right. So, where in Harlem was this?
It was on 164th Street. I don't know. It was like Harlem, Washington Heights.
Yeah, I was up there on 140th.
Exactly. So and when I read that, it sounds a little sketchy, but at the same time, I was like, I didn't know what a Harlem was. I just thought, it sounds very exotic as a German, So I just, I had this thing in life whenever there's an opportunity, I always want to say yes to things, because you never regret the things you do, you always regret the things you didn't do, right? So I was like, fuck yeah, I didn't have any money. I had like 1,000 euros, and I spent all my money after I finished high school, and I just flew to New York to meet this stranger in Harlem. And he turned out to be a modeling scout. And it was a little weird. I stayed at his place and he made me practice modeling poses.
Yeah.
He was almost like my Mr. Miyagi. I felt like Karate Kid.
But you got that German, no smiling. So that's good for modeling.
Exactly,
right?
That's great. So with modeling, you just got to look pissed at the world because God made you so damn beautiful. That's like the attitude you got to embody as a male model. You can't laugh. Female models, they smile and they swirl and they do all this stuff. Male models.
How funny is it that you've got models and then male models, right?
Yeah, yeah.
If you say a model, you assume it's a female model. But a male model is almost like a
it's his own
slur.
Thing, yeah.
Look at that male model over there.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of stereotypes and also judgment that comes with the term male model. People think, if you're a male model, you're arrogant, you're vain, you're not intelligent. Because the movie Zoolander really fucked it up for us man models, So
you trusted this guy?
I did trust this guy.
Enough to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And how old were you?
I was 18, maybe 19 then. And so he taught me a lot about modeling. He made me pose in front of a mirror. He literally taught me how to catwalk in his apartment in my underwear. I learned a lot, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to question his methods because it's like, you don't want to question Mr. Miyagi.
Mr. Miyagi.
If Karate Kid questioned Mr. Miyagi, he would have never beaten Cobra Kai.
So is he wax off, but he's like waxing you?
Exactly.
It's a whole different wax.
Exactly.
I don't think this is how the wax
Check it out.
No, I mean, look, it's bold choices can get you places.
Yeah.
And so you went straight from Germany to New York City, the greatest city in the world.
Fact.
And so you were there probably right after my wife was there modeling.
Okay.
But she wasn't really runway. She was became more like editorial and print, which I think for the most part just comes down to your height. If you're tall, you do runway.
Yeah. And it comes down to your look, right? With modeling, it's like if you look like traditionally good looking, if you're a handsome guy, whatever, you do more commercial stuff. Like you would work for like Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Adidas, that kind of brand. But if you look kind of weird, it's true. Like if you look kind of weird, you have distinguishable features. Like for example, I have this gap between my teeth.
I was gonna say it. I didn't want to be rude, but that's a good feature.
Thank you.
That's a good feature.
You know what? I hated my gap when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was bullied in Germany by my friends. You know, they were like, "Guck mal, die verdammte Zahnlücke an, sieht aus wie ein Spast, Junge." And
that sounds like a thing a bully would say.
And,
but I love that you say you were bullied by your friends. That's Here you get bullied by your enemies, but in Germany, it's my mom and my friends.
Oh, my mom bullied me all the time. My mom is very tough.
By the way,
German.
that's your coffee.
Thank you. Yeah,
Decaf
love
America,
decaf.
Decaf cappuccino,
Thank you.
almond milk. Cheers, man.
Appreciate it. Cheers.
How do you say it? Prost?
Prost, yeah.
Prost.
I don't know if you say it for coffee, but yeah,
okay.
Prost.
So you're getting bullied for a flaw that is now something that makes you recognizable.
Exactly, and that was an interesting realization. I was bullied for something I felt very insecure about all my life. I wanted to change it. I actually went to a dentist, and they changed. So they basically did a surgery to close the gap. They cut like a little, whatever. They cut something up here, like there's a little band that connects your lip with your gums or whatever, and they cut that. And Germans dentists just failed me, and nothing happened. They're still as wide as they were. But when I started modeling, that actually became the reason why I was moderately successful at modeling, because that made me do a lot of like high fashion stuff, like editorials, even some runway, some campaigns, because they like that gap. You know,
dude, I looked at your website. I saw you're my inspiration to cut the carbs. I was eating a burger and I had to spit the burger out after looking at your abs.
That's exactly what that's the
I bully myself.
That is what I want to leave behind in the world. I want to inspire people to feel bad about themselves. That's what I want to push body dysmorphia.
Well, look, I've always said a little bit of shame on the self is not bad if it keeps you like. My wife thinks I'm too harsh on myself, and maybe I am, but like. I always say this about Elvis. He didn't have the comment section to be like, "Hound dog sucks," and then he became Fat Elvis.
And then became,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe he needed the YouTube comment section.
He needed a Mario Adrian in his life.
Yeah,
before
Elvis, chill out a little bit.
I think there's a balance, the whole body positivity. Because with modeling, I'll be honest, like it kind of messed me up with my body stuff, because agents in Milan especially, they would literally tell me, they would sit me down and be like, "Mario, you a little baby fat," you know. They would be like literally tell me that I was too chubby and that I should lose a little bit more weight. And especially as a male model, people don't know this, but a lot of pressure is on female models, and the pressure as a woman is like infinitely higher than the pressure as a man to look good. But in modeling, they wanted me not only to look good, but also to be skinny. Because I naturally have like a big chest, you know. I have big boobs, as I was just born that way, you know.
Both got
no,
nice
true.
ones.
That's good. Yeah. Can you bounce them?
Probably not like you, but yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So they always told me to lose weight around my chest. So I basically had to stop working out and just eat less. And do the typical Milan Fashion Week diet, which is cigarettes, espresso, and cocaine.
Which also sounds like the stand-up comedian diet. Yeah, it's very similar.
Maybe that's why the transition was smooth for me from modeling to stand-up comedy.
You got the same meal plan.
Exactly. This feels familiar. You know?
So I mean, I can only imagine. My wife's a fit model, so she has to get measured. She has to be a very specific size.
Yeah.
And you know, we'll be on vacation. Eating healthy food, not eating. Well, we'll still eating junk and whatever. And then she'll be like, "Oh, I just got this gig coming up tomorrow. I need to, not
eat cotton balls for the next 2 days." Yeah.
So what's the because I want to. Part of what I want to do with this show is that I want to talk to people about kind of the entrepreneurial aspect.
Cool.
Of like pursuing a new life.
Yeah.
So was it for your family to know you were going to just go to New York and do something like modeling? Were they supportive, or was this out of their realm of possible types of jobs? I mean, you talk about your friends and people working at Mercedes. Yeah. It's got to be. I mean, is there shame because you're trying to do something unique?
Yeah. I mean, I would say this. My family is a very unique situation because I think German parents, maybe just my family, are not as protective over their kids. I feel like in America, kids are much more, they're much more protected by their family. I went to Peru when I was 15 years old. I spent 1 year by myself in a foreign country in South America and went to a high school there. So like, I've always been so independent that my parents specifically, they never worried about me. They were always like, you do your own thing, he's gonna do his thing, you know?
What sent you to Peru?
I just wanted to explore the world. I always had this desire to learn new things and broaden my horizon. Because I love Germany, but if you grow up in Eibisbach im Hochschwarzwald, it's kind of limiting, right?
What's the population of Eibisbach im Hochschwarzwald?
800, like maybe 1,000 people.
Oh, okay, that is small.
It's small, yeah.
Is that one word, by the way, or is it like...
It's Eibisbach im Hochschwarzwald. I mean, technically, okay, it means... Im Hochschwarzwald means in the Black Forest. It's kind of like saying Los Angeles, California.
Okay.
You know? So
no, because you say this in your stand-up, and it's so funny.
Yeah.
And you do it on your TikTok too, so we'll link to that. But when you're like saying you were singing a song and you sang it in the German verse, it's just like so. It just. So
I also love this. I love that you can show this.
Yeah.
You had like it is the funny shit ever. Do you know how to like he was like he was like I want to pronounce it properly, you know? So you put like the Eibisbach im Hochschwarzwald. That's hilarious.
It was the best I could do.
That's like the most Americanized version of that. You should put the actual spelling of it here. You know?
No idea. I have no idea how to spell it. I couldn't.
You know how to spell it?
You told it to me, so I was like,
God,
I can't Google this.
That's so funny. Yeah. That's so funny.
I tried my best.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
By the way, you're my first guest in the new Tesla, so if people hear beeping noises, I'm still trying to figure out. But have you been in a Y before?
In a Y?
A Tesla Y?
I don't think the Y, but I've been.
It's got the full roof.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't even notice. It looks like, you know, Teslas, they remind me of spaceships. It's wild.
Unbelievable.
The sounds too, it's just like...
Unbelievable car. I don't know what to do with it.
But the thing is, a white Tesla, I'll tell you one thing. There's a lot of white Teslas now, especially if you go to Venice. They call a Tesla as like a Venice Prius. And I feel like
which is such an insult to the Tesla.
No, I know.
But I get it.
No, I love Tesla. I mean, but in... Zhao Ying, like our friend comedian, I tour with her and stuff. She's a white Tesla. It happened a few times where I just walk up and I just get into the wrong Tesla. The other day we walked and we opened the door of a Tesla and this guy was looking at us. He was like, "What the fuck?" So
It can happen here.
Yeah.
So you have the itch to get out. I've kind of got that too, but you know, I'm not from as far away as Germany, but I come from a small town myself, and it can get old. It can get kind of just boring if you're trying to do bigger things.
Exactly.
So you're saying you were given the gift of this independence from your family, that it was just okay to go pursue whatever you want.
I did a student exchange in France when I was 14, 13 years old for like 2 months, and whenever I went and I saw something else, that's when I grew so much and I learned stuff about myself. So I always had this urge. That's why also modeling, I started modeling not because I wanted to become a famous fashion model. I started modeling because I was like, how cool is it to travel to New York? I'd never been to the States before. How cool is it to go to Singapore for modeling and live in Korea for 2 months on a modeling contract? That's the stuff that I love the most about modeling, is seeing a different culture and having a reason to explore a different country.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like if someone, you know, gets good at sports and they can travel, you know, in that way. I feel like the travel bug is a real thing, and it becomes like sort of addicting to meet new people and kind of be different, you know, because you're different in the LA comedy scene. You're a tall, good-looking German guy. We don't have many of those. Yeah, I know. Thank you.
So
how did you get from modeling to stand-up? Social media?
Yeah.
Like, what was the bridge that connected that?
Well, so here's the thing. When I started modeling, I very early on realized that modeling is very limiting and very one-dimensional, because I always, even when I was younger, I watched television. I saw some like funny TV host in Germany and I was like, yo, I want to do that. But there was no way, there was no route, there was no acting class, there was nobody who was doing anything creative where I'm from. So it was not even, in my mind, it was not even possible. And then when I started modeling, I realized that modeling is very limiting, because all you can do is being ridiculously good looking, you know?
I know what that's like.
Right. It's like it gets old, you know?
But yeah, you're not given the chance to
express yourself.
Until you're at like maybe a name recognition model.
But even then, the biggest models, with modeling, you're always a mannequin that is somebody else's vision, right? Like when I do an editorial, they tell me what the vibe is. They tell me, okay, now you gotta look like extra grumpy, and this time we want you to be a little smiley, a little seductive, right? They tell me that, and it's not my vision. I I feel I've always been a very creative person, and so what I did when I started modeling, I was like, this is not what I can do for the rest of my life. So I started making YouTube videos just for myself to remember what it's like to be a model in New York. So I made a video called what it's like to be a model during Fashion Week in New York. And I made that video just with my camera. I went to castings, I kind of made fun of people. I was just fucking around and showing people what it's like. And the intention was not for me to be famous or anything. It was more for me to remember and have like a video that I can look back in 5 years and see.
When you're traveling and doing new things, it comes with, that's why photography and travel go hand in hand. You want to commemorate your experiences because it's a cool, unique thing.
Exactly, yeah. So that was the idea at first, right? And then I uploaded a video on YouTube, and I checked like, I don't know, a couple of weeks later, and all of a sudden the video had like 100,000 views.
Holy cow.
So it just organically reached an audience, and they liked the silliness in the modeling stuff I did. And then people just asked me questions. They were like, hey Mario, what's your workout routine? How do I become a model? So I kind of started making videos about that. So I started with having a community of aspiring models following me.
So the curiosity of your audience drove the content because you realized, oh yeah, this is unique. Oh yeah, you do want to know how to do X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
By the way, you're the tallest person to be in my car. You can push the seat back if you're cramped.
Okay.
It's on the side.
Oh no, I'm very.
I don't know
where
actually. Okay, if you're.
No, it's good.
Whatever. I just realized you're.
Thank you though.
You're a big man.
Thank you.
Let's go up into the hills. Let's just take it into the hills.
Into the hills. That's right. That's where we belong. We don't stay with the peasants. We go.
Yeah. I don't even know if electric can get. By the way, I've never tried to floor it up a hill. Should I try it right now?
Let's do it.
I bet it's gonna fly. You ready to go?
Yeah. Let's go.
We're going up a huge hill. This is like San Francisco. You ready to go?
Okay.
Let's just see what it does.
Whoa! Damn.
This is a heavy car. This is a 5,000 pound car here.
Wow.
And we just
5,000 pounds.
We just ate
I don't know what that means, but that seems heavy.
It's a lot.
I do kilograms, but like
we just ate it up a hill.
That's wild.
Yeah, this would have taken my other car a year and a half. Anyway, I'm just impressed. So, because I'm curious about your YouTube, because YouTube paid for my Tesla. My YouTube took off over the pandemic, and I think it's the greatest platform in the world.
Oh yeah, I love YouTube.
So tell me about that early success you found. How did you build it from there?
Well, then I just people would ask me questions about I would literally follow the community. I would literally be like, the comment section was full of questions, and I'd be like, what are the most asked questions I got? And some of them I didn't even think they were going to be a good video, but one of them was like, how tall do you have to be to be a model or whatever? And I made a video about literally called how tall do you have to be to become a model? And the video got like 1 million views, literally. I mean, over time.
Unbelievable.
And I was like, how is that possible that so many people are wondering? But I guess there was
curiosity.
And I guess, see, of course, a lot of people are aspiring models themselves. And then there's like a big community of people who are literally just curious about the modeling lifestyle. And a lot of gay men were following me because they just wanted to see the world of a male model. It's very intriguing, and even women. So it's like, I realized there's nobody, like male modeling, there's a lot of content about female models, and there's Zoolander, the movie, but there's nobody on YouTube who was doing what I was doing, who was an actual working male model, and who was showing people what it's like. And I was also very silly because, models, again, most models are very serious and stuff, and they wouldn't do YouTube. And I just combined the two, and that was my favorite thing about it. I don't think I would have stuck with modeling if it weren't for social media, because it's very dry and it was not really fulfilling me. I love the connections with people, but modeling sounds so glamorous, but at the end of the day, you are you are literally on the bottom of the hierarchy.
Yeah, creative director, fashion designers.
Exactly. Photographers even above you.
Like their prop.
Exactly. And some jobs are cool, but most of the jobs I did was called e-commerce, where you are literally, you put on 60 outfits
all
a day.
All day long, catalogs.
Yeah,
right?
catalog.
All day long.
Which basically is going to be replaced by AI in no time. So I'm glad I was in that time. But you literally put on 60 outfits a day. I did that for like Bloomingdale's and a lot of brands I work with, and in China even, where they do 100 outfits a day. So you literally put on outfits. You do like front, side, back, change,
Next.
change,
Next.
change,
Next.
and it's so tiring and so like you know, so
So you had
yeah.
a sense of humor with it all.
Exactly,
You start
yeah.
to see it blowing up. Were you monetized yet on YouTube?
yeah. So I got some AdSense, and that was the coolest thing in the world because
Because 1 million views, I mean, that could be anywhere from a couple grand to 20,000.
Yeah. I mean, it was like
More.
depends on the audience, right, and like who follows you.
Length
It
of
was
the video,
it was a lot of
audience,
younger people, so it was not that crazy. If you do finance, right, it's definitely a lot higher. The CPMS and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah.
So like how much money you make per 1,000 clicks. But yeah, it was good. It was like I'm in the beginning I was maybe making like maybe $2,000 a month from AdSense, maybe 1,000, which again in the beginning it was like that's amazing because I'm doing modeling and some of these jobs don't. You know, modeling is very inconsistent because I did some months where I killed it. I was like. I was new in town. My first time in New York was great. I did some campaigns, and you can make like $10,000, $20,000.
So what's your best month modeling versus your best month on YouTube?
Best month? It's hard to say. It was a long time ago. I mean, I was never that crazy like in terms of modeling, but I did some jobs in like Asia and stuff, where it was maybe like 25,000 with modeling.
Okay.
But that was like the best, and that's definitely the peak. And social media, I mean, yeah, I would say like 40 grand some months.
And that's just AdSense, or was that with sponsorships?
No, that's everything. That's AdSense. That's my own product. And what I did actually, how I monetized on YouTube early on, is I made online courses.
Oh, we got a car. I gotta go backwards.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a car behind me too. We're in the hills, folks.
Yeah,
this is real life.
This is what's happening.
This is where all the rich people live.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the hills used to be where all the poor people lived.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, because I feel like earthquakes, they couldn't, they didn't have the structure.
Yeah.
Is this a one-way or is it two-way? So for the people watching on YouTube, it's just absolutely beautiful up here. But yeah, I mean, one earthquake would wipe out a community before they actually could build properly, you know?
Yeah.
And so it went from where, people, lower class people would live to a much bigger thing. This is a bad idea. Let me see if I can get around this guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, because my biggest month was last year, which was 35,000 on just YouTube. And I had a couple things take off, and that's not normal for me. But when I was like, when it first came up, I was like, I'm not going to believe this until the money's in my account.
Oh, yeah.
And then it goes, Google, it drops, and you just see it, and you go, oh my gosh.
That's amazing.
This is
I love that
insane.
so much, yeah. And that's the cool thing because also maybe, how many views, do you know how many views that was?
only a couple million.
Okay.
I mean, it was a lot, but under 3 million.
Okay, because that's the thing. Oh, interesting.
I get a pretty high.
That's what I mean. I know people who have way less views or who have smaller channels, but especially finance. Do you know what some of these finance people make on YouTube?
Yeah, big time.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
This one guy had he makes these videos about, I think his name is Meet Kevin or something.
Oh yeah, Meet Kevin he's got a private jet now.
Oh my God, isn't that insane? He just makes videos like stimulus check updates #1, and that's the audience, because that's obviously way more lucrative for advertisers.
His style during the pandemic is what I started doing with the rapid fire content. So I make 2 or 3 videos a day, and that's the reason with under 70,000 subscribers. You're in the 800,000 to 900,000, right?
Yeah.
So with under 70,000, I found a way to just crank out content.
That's amazing.
And sometimes it's better than others, but it's not. I always wanted to do. Oh, we came to a dead end. Oh no. Oh yeah, we're at a dead end. All right, let's turn this puppy around. Beautiful up here. Oh my gosh, how's this for inspiration for us?
I love it. I don't know if I would want to live in the hills though, I'll be honest with you. I'm such a walking person. I love walking around. So I live in West Hollywood now. I know I grew up in Europe, I lived in New York and stuff. I don't know.
No,
I don't like driving all the time and it's so windy.
And also,
it's beautiful to
imagine if you're up here and a wildfire breaks out, which does happen. I mean, you are absolutely, you have no way out.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think it's important to share these things because I don't know, do you have a stigma in Germany about talking about money? Because we do here.
Yeah, I think it's similar. I think culturally Germany is quite similar to America in that sense. There's definitely some differences and we can talk about it, but with money it's definitely, I don't know, I never talk about, sometimes what's actually hard for me is when I go back to Germany and I meet my old friends and we talk about money and the difference is astronomical in terms of how expensive Los Angeles is compared to Germany. people don't know this, but Germany is a very cheap country. It's a very, it's obviously a big, very economically strong and all that, but in Germany, groceries, rent, it's nowhere near
really
California or New York. It's unbelievable. Like my dad, for example, he has a good job. He's middle class. He's a chimney sweeper, which is actually a good job in Germany. He's considered very middle class in Germany. Or my mom worked her whole life and makes like basically what I'm paying for a few dinners here. It's unbelievable,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like last night I went to this dinner, I didn't pay, I was with my girlfriend's aunt, and went to this dinner in West Hollywood. It was like, the steak was like, it was like a tomahawk steak, a big one. It was like $280. It's like, that is unbelievable. That's unfathomable for a German.
Yeah.
My dad's rent, he lives in a beautiful place on top of like a hill, the most gorgeous view you can ever imagine, very quiet, like in the forest. His rent is like 350 euros a month.
And my wife wants us to move to like an Italian. There's all these ads like move to an Italian town for $1 or €1 because they have these towns they can't populate. People are leaving them. And yeah, here, and of course you going from New York to LA, that's 2 of the top 4 cities in the country as far as like prices go.
Absolutely,
I think San Francisco, maybe Miami.
Yeah.
And I mean, have you been to the Midwest at all in your comedy?
Yeah,
travel?
I've done Chicago.
I mean, okay, yeah.
Is that Midwest? No, that's like
Chicago's Midwest,
sort of.
but since it's a metropolitan, area.
Wait, Ohio. We're going to Ohio in 2 weeks. I'm doing Ohio.
Oh, nice.
For like some shows.
Yeah, that's so. My wife's from Kentucky, but on the Ohio-Kentucky border.
Yeah.
And it is a lot cheaper when you're in smaller, more rural areas. But obviously, it's probably not nearly like what Germany is.
And that's why.
Is it just higher taxes, and that's why it's all cheaper? Or?
Not even that, and that's the thing that like I don't know what is what happened in Germany. I think everybody's just so inflated in America. So jobs pay way more. Everything's more expensive. You're a doctor. You make so much money. Doctors here are millionaires or like have really nice houses. In Germany, a doctor is a good job, but you don't make as much. You make maybe like $8,000 a month, but your school is free. So the pressure, I think everything is just more moderate. Same with like lawsuits, everything's so much bigger. You can sue people here for millions of dollars, where in Germany it's like much more reasonable.
Oh yeah.
Medical expenses.
Litigious culture, medical expenses comes with high insurance rates because we're all bought and owned by the insurance companies.
Yes.
A lot wrong with that here.
It's just everything is inflated. So in Germany, people make less money on average, but you also spend less. So it's much more balanced, I think. But that is a little bit of an issue sometimes, because when my mom came to visit me here, and it was some months where I was making some good money, right? And she would, I would take her to dinner. She would feel so bad sometimes, spending so much money, having me, because I paid for a lot of things, me spending so much money on her, spending the money on hotels. And it's sometimes difficult then going back to Germany, and it's hard for me to talk about money in that sense, because it sounds like, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging or something like that, how much I pay in rent.
But
exactly,
it's an important conversation, because I think it just shows people that you can do different things here. But with YouTube and any other social media, when you control and have that audience, you're worth more. You can go direct to an audience.
Exactly.
You can sell your ideas or your visions or products or whatever it is, and that's it. Just goes to show how much that can be worth.
100%,
so I think it's always exciting to talk to people, because when I was like broke and watching YouTubers talk about how much money they were making, it inspired me.
Okay, that's a good way to think about it. Yeah.
To be like, oh my gosh, this is out there. You can do that.
This is possible. Yeah.
Because my break even was like, can I make $600 a week?
Yeah.
And then once the first checks came in, my first month that it blew up, it went from essentially no money to like $7,000, and then to 20, and it became like, whoa, this is not only an opportunity, like this is a real, like we can do something with this.
That's amazing.
And as a stand-up comedian, we don't have many options with comedy clubs. Like we get kind of kicked around a lot. Yeah. That when you can find something that works, it's just like, why not? So at what point were you like, all right, let's grow this business. Let's what's your strategy with that all?
I mean, very early on, like what I was going to say earlier, I made online courses. So I saw that I had an audience of aspiring male models, and I built like an email list. So I had like, I did the whole, like, it was like a big phase, I think, when I really made online courses. It's kind of like stopped a little bit, but basically what I did, I built an email list by telling people, hey, if you sign up for my email list, I'm going to give you 10 tips how to pose or something like that. And then I built an email list of like, it was wild. It was like, I think on the email list on the internet, like 20,000 people on there. Which is crazy. So you
offered information.
Yeah, for free.
We always talk about this with the internet. It's information and entertainment.
Yeah.
If you can provide one or two, if you can do both. So if you're giving people information while also being funny, that's a huge value.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And all they have to do is give you their email address, and then you're able to give them information when you're performing and this and that. Yeah. It's really smart.
And then I just made a course. It's called Male Model Mentor, which is, I kind of retired it now because I moved on from that niche. But yeah, I did Male Model Mentor, which is basically a step-by-step guide on how to become a model, how to be discovered as a model. And I was blown away by how many people, you think it's a small niche. That's the cool thing about the internet. You think it's like such a small niche, but there's people making a full-time living and who are millionaires making videos about art therapy for disabled kids. Yeah. Like there's a lot of, it's insane how like gardening or like some really specific niche. So yeah, that's how I monetized it first, and I realized, wow, the internet is amazing because I could travel, and I was modeling in, like I said, Asia a lot, Milan, London, and I would always just work on that stuff. So it was beautiful. I could still do my job, and that gave me security and sustained, my income. And it released a lot of pressure from modeling, which is very like, ups and downs.
Yeah,
and very
especially the ageism, obviously. It's like, how do I get out of this? How do I kind of like get out of this with something to show for it?
Yeah.
So at what point did stand-up comedy come in? Was that the final, was that like your last thing you got into?
Yeah, that was the last thing I got into. So I always knew that comedy was like, going back to like what I said earlier, when I was a little kid, I was like, I love this comedy stuff, and I saw myself and I was like, I could do this if I was on TV. But there was it was not even in the realm of possibilities that that's something I could do.
Of course, yeah.
Because I grew up, around engineers. And then...
Well, but just so you know, same for me. The only comedy I saw growing up was Chris Rock.
Yeah.
I didn't know what an open mic was. I always tell people, if you want to get into it, find out the people that are right ahead of you. So you can see that it's not a bunch of amazing, gifted comedians. It's people working things out, and that's how we met. You work things out, and you realize, there are rungs on the ladder. It's not just going from zero to Hall of Fame.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry to interrupt, but
no, for sure.
So then you didn't see an opportunity. You didn't see a path.
No, I didn't. And then I just I came to LA, and I was doing YouTube, and I started going to an improv school, Second City. Because I was like, I love improv. I love making YouTube videos, which essentially is kind of like improv, because I was making videos, doing vlogs, kind of improvising, right? It's like in the same realm. And I was like, I want to get better at making YouTube videos, so I'm gonna take an improv class. And I always loved challenging myself. I'd done some acting classes in New York, and at that improv school, there was just an intro to stand-up comedy, and whatever. It's like, it's kind of serendipitous. I went on the wrong day to my improv class. I kind of messed up the dates. And they were like, no, it's not an improv class starts today, but there's an intro to stand-up comedy class that starts right now.
No, Mario, you went on the right day.
I went on the right day, exactly.
The world does, no, Mario. Your schedule's changing.
Exactly. So then I took the stand-up class, and I just did I did the first class, and we just tell a story, and I told the story about like, whatever, how I got circumcised when I was 18 years old. I told that at a school basically in front of like 6 people, and I was like, this is it. Like it clicked so much because I was like,
love.
I felt
the dopamine
it.
Hit.
I felt it. I felt the connection because I've been making YouTube videos, and I love YouTube, and we can both agree it's a great platform. But there's a difference having 6 people even in a stand-up class. In real time, there's an energy exchange, when they react to your material.
Making online content is like watching porn versus stand-up is like fucking.
Oh wow, that's beautiful.
Do you know what I mean?
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow.
real deep. But so you get it. It's a drug. It's just, but it's also kind of like the travel bug in a way. I mean, it's a different feel-good thing, but it's a feel-good thing.
Yeah, and
you chase that high.
And the connection with people, it's like it's so fucking real. Even if the video gets a million views, like you said, it's not nearly as impactful.
It's hard to contextualize
exactly
what a YouTube. But yeah, YouTube comments are all nice. But yeah, I mean, there's no greater feeling than your first laugh and then chasing that high, writing new material. And I actually was reading the book called The Atomic Habits, and it talks about
I read that too. Yeah,
it talked about dopamine. How that's why when you have a joke that works, the more you do it, the less joy you feel, because it's going to crush. I expect this to crush, then what? And that's okay, but it's important to know, like, to keep growing
for sure.
and feeding on that kind of feel-good emotion. You have to keep writing and evolving and trying things new, or else you'll just be some angry comic who's good, but doesn't feel the joy that you should get from doing the thing you love.
Yeah. Where do you like with YouTube and stand-up? What's your priorities right now? Like, what do you spend most time on?
Stand-up. My YouTube's the morning. I get up in the morning, I make my content, I do my podcast, I try to be done by noon.
Okay.
And then stand-up, I'm kind of in a reverse situation where I did stand-up for like 8 years before my YouTube took off. So now I'm going, okay, how can I use the skills I have and build this new audience? My audience is very loyal, but still a small crowd. It's still about 70,000. So I don't have, but I make so much content that it works out well.
Yeah.
So now I'm saying, okay, I've got 20 people in all these different markets. How do I get 150 people in all these different markets? So there's a critical size for me to go there, which is why I'm like teaming up with people, because I'm like, how can we all share our following and deliver and make it a movement of people coming and having fun. When I do these shows, people, and maybe you and Zhao Ying get this, people give gifts. They feel like family. They want to give so much, and it's so humbling to see that.
And I love this. And also, I want to say one thing, like, it's not about numbers. It's really about, like, the community you have. And that's way more important than sheer numbers and vanity metrics, because it doesn't matter. And I'm experiencing this myself, because I have a lot of followers that come from, the modeling stuff. They don't necessarily, like, now I'm transitioning everything towards more stand-up comedy. Some of them don't care about that. So it's like, it really doesn't matter if you have, like, 1 million people following you. It's about the people who are with you for what you're essentially doing, right? So a lot of people who follow me from the modeling days, they would not come to see my stand-up comedy shows, right? So that's also like, if you have a great community of people who love you for who you are, that's amazing. And for your comedy, for your insight, for your what you share with the world,
I've got a buddy. He's got 3 billion views on social media. Just absolutely destroying it, and he's having a hard time selling stand-up tickets.
Yeah, what does he do?
He does comedy on his TikTok, but it's not translating because some of the short form content, people go, that's cool, and they'll just move on. Yeah. And I guess the goal is, and maybe I don't know if you've seen the difference between your YouTube audience and your short form, but the goal is finding someone who's going to be with you every year. Yeah. So every year I come to Seattle, they're going to bring their friends, and they're going to. That's the sustainability.
Exactly.
There, versus TikTok, to me, and I don't really do too much on there, but like I don't see that as building. And maybe you just need 10 times the following or 100 times.
Yeah, I think
always say it's 100.
I think it's 100. No, truly, and TikTok especially, Instagram a little less, but like TikTok, it is really like kind of empty followers in a way, unless you really build a community, because there's a difference between chasing real estate on YouTube in terms of like the shorts feed and building a community. There's a difference.
Yeah, because you might only have 7, as a consumer, I might only subscribe to 7 people on YouTube. Yeah. I might have 4,000 on TikTok.
Exactly, and you also get like the views on TikTok. It's not only people who follow you, it's also the For You page and things that go viral and stuff, but you don't build that. Versus a podcast or something like this, where people listen to you for like whatever, an hour. There's a way deeper connection. That's why I love this.
Podcasting and long form YouTube, you get in people's ears and they really connect in a way that it's different. It's almost like TikTok's like going to a museum and being like, oh, you saw the Monet, saw the Renoir, oh, good. And versus YouTube and podcasting, I think is more like the audience is actually building the painting because they're there for a longer process. Yeah. So it really just comes down to more like they say that with sales. If you're going to sell someone something, the longer you're talking to them, the higher chance they have of buying it. The trust is there and all that. And what we're selling, not to make it anything super like, we're talking about circumcisions and farts and shit. Yeah. But what we're selling is friendship and in a good time. Yeah. So once your YouTube starts to take off in your short form, you start to do some open mics, you start to take a class, then what?
Well, then I was still kind of like and it really clicked. Only this year did I really start focusing on stand-up. Because here's the thing, YouTube is beautiful and all, but what happened to me is that because I had this YouTube thing, there was no urgency for me to do stand-up, right? It was interesting because like I had this big fallback. There was no pressure basically.
Right.
And so it was like, it took a while for me to really realize that stand-up is something that I want to really focus on, because I was so conditioned as a male model to get validation for my looks, right? and for more superficial things. So it was hard to break out of that cycle, you know, when you did modeling for like 7 years and it was all about the way you looked and that was all you were like valued for. So it took me a while to really recognize that I can really use comedy, purely comedy, without being shirtless, to that's going to translate to viewers and fans.
Yeah, I mean, everyone will use anything they can to get a joke. So if you're the fat comic or the big nose, whatever it is fair game.
Sure.
But what doesn't work is, they always say cool is the enemy of funny.
Yeah.
So it's the idea that you are cool, but you've also got to go on stage and talk about getting circumcised at 18, and like it's almost like the dichotomy for a character like you on stage is, I am cool, I am good looking, but I'm going to tell you some stories that bring me down to your level almost.
Yeah, but also at the same time staying true and authentic to myself. What I've realized, the biggest thing is authenticity. It is really the most powerful thing ever. If you're not fully authentic, fuck it. Like there's, even Zhao Ying told me this, right? People were telling her to, or even were telling me, they were like, Mario, you should, you know, you're not relatable, you look different than other comics, you should always dress down. And I did that for a while. I would dress down, I'd dress in sweatpants to not look intimidating to people. But then at some point, like,
put some gum in between your teeth.
Exactly. I was.
Yeah, you're taking away your special.
Exactly, and it was not authentic, and it was probably didn't translate as well because it's like it's not 100% me. But then I was like, you know what? Fuck. Now my material is not. I have a certain level of arrogance in it. Even like I have some jokes where I'm like, you know what? Where I talk about how I look like a douchebag, but I'm embracing that. I go on stage like how I would dress, you know, which is a little bit like not like a typical comedian would dress, right?
You're German, you're metro.
Yeah, like
sexual,
more Euro. Exactly.
Euro trash.
Exactly. Yeah, no, for sure.
I wish I could pull it off. I want an earring.
But that's the thing, you know, if it's, you shouldn't do it because of the character. I'm like, that's truly who I am, and I was a mom.
Yeah, you're like, I'm an authentic douchebag.
I'm an authentic douchebag, and I even have some stuff where I'm like, you know, I talk about my mommy issues, but then I go, you know, I have some mommy issues, I have self-esteem issues, but at the same time, I think I'm just really hot, you know, and I talk about that shit now because it's like, fuck it, that's me, you know, and that's the uniqueness that's gonna make you stand out.
And people will try to tell you how to do things.
Exactly.
And it all comes from a good place, and you take what you take and you ditch what you ditch, and it's your journey to figure it out.
Yeah.
Now, so your sense of humor as a kid growing up, were you the goofy kid because your whole family was serious? Like, how did, like looking back, where did you get that sense of humor?
So my family were, I always make this joke about how my mom's super serious. Like Germans don't really emote a lot, you know? But it was more like my family when I grew up, my mom was very, she didn't, you know, my mom worked a lot, she was a single mom and stuff, so I didn't have a lot of attention that I got from my mom, so I think I want to get some of that attention in school and stuff by
I'm the same, single mom. Single mom club.
Single mom club.
You don't get the attention.
No, you don't.
Hey, Mom, get this.
Exactly, and she's working, exactly.
She's tired, she's rubbing her feet, the day's over. Like, God bless her, right?
Exactly. No, she worked hard, and I recognize that now, you know, she like worked so hard for me, essentially. But there's thing also, like German moms are a little more, you know, they're not very, my mom, for example, never told me she loves me.
Really?
No, it's like a German, and I don't hold it against her, it's really a German thing.
Oh yeah, I mean, what can you do? They were raised by World War parents.
Something, get this, I didn't even realize.
Was that way. Like I always say, my stepdad, he's a loving guy, but his dad fought in World War II.
Exactly,
so like the best he probably ever got was a stiff handshake.
Exactly.
And now, so he'll hug me, but he'll like pat me and it'll be very stiff. And it's like, that's him being as loving as
Oh my God, that's like yeah. I have
Because
this.
you do a lot in your YouTube videos with like male affection.
Yeah.
You almost challenge people through humor to like to be open with your affection. Is that because
100%.
you weren't getting it from your mom?
I analyzed that a little bit. There's a lot. I talked to my therapist yesterday about similar things too. So I got rejected by this one girl once, and then my mom was not really there for me. My dad is such a warm person. My dad was really more of a mother figure. Maybe that's why I associate male energy actually with more of a loving energy.
Wow.
Ironically, which is, you know, unlike most people. But I think it's important that we, as men, are open to emotional intimacy with other men. It's not a gay thing. It's really just a human thing.
Of course.
Because I have my best friend, his name is Travis Bryan. He's like the next phase of my YouTube. I made videos with him, like comedy videos and stuff. And then we really built like almost a relationship channel because people loved our dynamic. And he showed me what it's like. He's a gay guy and I'm straight. And we had such a beautiful close relationship that I only knew from like a romantic partner, and I didn't know that a male friendship can give you just as much as a romantic relationship with a woman, you know, minus the sex basically. So that's why,
It's society is having a hard time coping with that bravado being, you know, like we're you know, that's why like every movie where a dog dies, it's like finally a chance for men to release their emotions, which I see that, and I didn't grow up with that. I actually grew up, even though my mom was kind of like busy and this and that, I still felt she was like loving to me, but I still had that thirst to just like hug my buddies, because they also weren't getting all that. So it kind of like we all just came together, and like it wasn't weird, but I can see how in society there's a lot of that, some, you know, I guess you call it toxic masculinity, where it's a dad being like, why are you crying? And it's like, cry. If it doesn't go out there, you're gonna
you're gonna like beat somebody up or whatever, like shoot up at school.
But that's what it is, right? It's like real repressed male emotion can lead to real horrible things.
100%,
And you watch, like when I watch shows, like the show I cover, my whole channel covers The Bachelor and dating shows. It's 92% women. So it's like I'm trying to get in touch with my feminine energy, because it's like I got the masculine side down. I'm confident with that. Not like in a macho way. You know? So
Look at me. Look at the beard.
My new Tesla Prius.
With your frappuccino.
But like but it's like, how can I be more theatrical? Like my whole goal in life is to be more honest emotionally with that's why I got into improv, and that's why I got into things, because I just want to perform and not be in the shell that comes from an Irish Catholic upbringing where they're pursed lips. Because I think the Irish and the Germans have a lot in common with like 100%. Stoicism, maybe.
For sure.
So
I can see the similarities.
So your mom never said she loved you?
No.
But you know she loves you.
I know she does.
So that's all that
I know she does. It's just, and here's the thing, what you said also, I'll have empathy for that too, because I never want to judge people. It's like, I get it. Her family, so her side of the family was not very warm because of what you said. They fled when Germany was bombed during the Second World War. Her side of the family is from Dresden, which is Eastern Germany. Which is a city that was probably the city that was bombed the most in Germany but during the World War by the British. So they fled the war, and my grandma, I realized
sorry about that.
No.
My bad.
No, but I was like, when they grew up, it was like they didn't have, like my grandma, I remember this. She would, whenever there was leftover, I remember this. We had like butter, and there was literally a block of butter left on a on a plate for whatever reason. And my grandma would literally take the butter and she would eat the whole thing. Because she said when she grew up and they fled after the war, they didn't have a home basically. They were just traveling. There was nothing available after the war. So fat butter was such a rare thing, and it was valued as such a high like price basically that she would never let that go to waste. And
Dude,
it just
that's how we're gonna be with toilet paper after after the pandemic. We're like,
how dare you?
Throw out the idea of toilet paper.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but that's my stepdad, his father was in World War II. He was stationed, I don't know exactly where, but ended up meeting a German lady who was working in the French embassy on the German-French border.
Oh, wow.
They got married, and she came back to America. So she has passed away, but so we called her Oma, and so there's a lot of my stepdad's family is all German.
German,
So it's a very interesting dynamic of a German-American coming together, which I'm sure happened to a lot of people during the war, like was bonded through such a tragic time period. Such a senseless time period. But so now, so just to wrap it all up before we go here, and by the way, are we still, we're still going. Good, look at this. You're just crushing it. First Tesla drive. So you're using comedy as a way to, and correct me if I'm wrong here, break down the lack of companionship that you weren't getting. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that. And in general, the fact that there's a lot more that goes into it, like also with, I've had some experience with sexual assault as a man when I was modeling by gay men. And for men, even talking about stuff like that, I want to break the stigma that men cannot talk about emotions or cannot say that, men have been assaulted. Like I've been assaulted and raped basically. And I had such a hard time even saying that. It took me years, like it happened. And then like for 5 years I didn't talk about it because I was like, oh, I'm a man. I can't be affected by stuff like that, you know, because I'm a man, I'm not supposed to feel these things. But I think there's such a power in the authenticity of just being real as a man, you know.
Dude,
so that's really something I feel strongly about.
That is why. I mean, I'm sorry to hear that, but to be able, I mean, you will for sure have people when you discuss your own issues. You will for sure find a community, whether it's someone who's got ADHD or being on the spectrum, or coming out of the closet, whatever exists out there. Someone else has gone through that.
Yeah.
And the problem, I think, with a lot of social media is this younger generation thinks everything's perfect, and so that it's almost so refreshing to hear a comedian on stage talk about something. Yeah, they might be making light of a situation, but by talking about it, they're owning it and they're owning their story. And I don't see that happening too much with social media. I mean, it happens now. We do embrace authenticity there, but there's also this idea like Instagram. You know, TikTok's a response to Instagram's perfection, where TikTok's like, we're not going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You know, because Instagram was all about curating the perfect look. And you look at that and you feel like your own life sucks because you can't live up to this standard. So by talking about real issues, it's like, that's one way to for sure be a magnet to people out there.
Yeah.
And go, oh, wow, this guy's got problems too?
Yeah.
It's tough. I had one question I wrote down. I wanted to hear about what's sex ed like in Germany, because we have such a weird stigma here with sex ed. It's different all over the country here, you know. Like we're so divided. You might have some school districts that they teach abstinence, like don't even touch each other.
Okay.
And then there's other school systems that'll just show you photos of gonorrhea.
Yeah.
And try to scare the hell out of you.
Wait, how's it in Florida? They don't say gay, right? The whole thing.
I don't even know. Yeah,
it's like the whole thing. So sex ed in Germany, I remember it. Also, mind you, like first of all, I think Germany's a lot more open in general when it comes to stuff. Europe in general is much more open when it comes to that. For whatever reason, I don't feel like we have the same. That's one thing also, like, we don't have the same bipartisan system where it's just like Democrats, Republicans, where it's like this.
You don't have the culture war that we have?
No, we don't.
It's just a culture war.
No, it's really...
like teaching sex ed shouldn't be a left or right issue.
That's what I mean, but
you pick a side.
That's the thing, and that's something, oh my God, that's something I can go on and on about, because even the whole vaccine thing, right? There's some issues like gun control, gay rights, vaccine.
It doesn't have to be attached to a
Exactly,
side.
Oh my God, and here it's like, you know, if you say like, oh yeah, I got the vaccine, oh my, or you didn't get the vaccine, or you hate trans people, like what the fuck? It's like, what is happening in America? In Germany, we have 7 parties in the parliament.
Oh, 7 would be so great.
So there's literally...
not have to be on one side versus the other.
Exactly. So an opinion is truly just an opinion. If you, like, for example, my dad, he didn't get the vaccine for whatever reason. He's not, but it doesn't mean that he's like one side of the political spectrum or the other. He's very much like, he voted like for the Democrats, but it's just such a like, an opinion is an opinion in Germany, as opposed to here, an opinion is attached to a whole group that is fighting against another group.
Yeah. Like for instance, today with the Supreme Court, they ruled that someone who like makes websites doesn't have to make a website for a gay couple. And we had the same issue with like someone who bakes cookies doesn't have to bake them for a gay couple. I'm the biggest supporter of equality out there, but I don't think you should force someone to have to do something. You know, so we have a lot of issues that are like lines being drawn in the sand. Comes back to our litigious culture.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear that over there are more options, so you probably don't feel like you have to pick one evil versus the other.
Exactly. So sex ed, I mean, mind you, back then we didn't have the awareness. I mean, when I went to school was like in 2000 and whatever. Like, so I'm 29. It was not the same. It was not as politicized. Like the whole like trans was not as you know was not as common. I would say that people talked about it.
Yeah, of course.
So sex ed, I just remember it being very like biology class.
So they're teaching it. Are they providing you with like condoms and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
No, really? Okay.
Yeah. They provided with condoms. I remember we had one biology. It was in biology.
We just got a stick of deodorant. That's what they gave us.
Oh yeah.
A little stick of deodorant. I was like, do I rub this in my dick? What do I do?
Yeah.
They didn't tell us what to do with it. I was like, what is this? You know?
No, they taught us about how masturbation works.
Wow.
If anybody had any questions about it. I remember this specifically.
Co-ed or just with the guys? Do they
co-ed, both of them together.
And are the kids laughing? Or are they?
Yeah, I mean, sure. Some of them at that age, you kind of know it. Kind of like it's like kind of taboo topic or whatever. But I remember just being we had a great teacher in biology, shout out Herr Kappe, yeah? And he would just,
Herr Kappe.
he would literally ask and be like, hey, if you have any questions anonymously after this, you can put them in here or something, and we'll answer them separately, and then you can answer some like publicly. And we literally talk about anything. We talk about like like protection and all this stuff, and it was not, I don't remember it being a big deal, to be honest. That's why it's even hard to talk about it. It's just like,
crazy to think.
School. You know, honestly, it was like not much different than talking about history.
In the South here, we have a thing called purity culture. So you've got dads that will sign contracts with their daughter to get them to remain a virgin.
Wow.
And then they'll take photos together, and the daughter will wear like all white, and they'll take photos like they're married. And they'll be like, it's a contract you sign with God. And if you want to remain a virgin, that should be fine. But the idea that, you know, your parents' approval comes with that, if someone's assaulted, raped, or just loses their virginity before then, they then think their value is gone. So people are coming to realize how toxic that culture exists in our country. And I wasn't raised by that. I kind of lost my virginity a little later than most, but I always make the note, not because of religious reasons, I just had bad game. You know, I just wasn't good at trying to get laid. But it's so I was curious about that, because I do know obviously Europe is more progressive sexually than we are, kind of founded on a Puritan culture. Yeah. In some parts of the country. So even places like Canada, they come down thinking like they can talk about sex, and we're like, whoa, hold on, leave some room for the Holy Spirit.
That's wild.
Well, dude,
no, it was it was more interesting talking about history in Germany because of the Holocaust and all that. So that was more that I remember being more of a weird topic than, you know, sex ed, obviously. So,
because of how fresh.
I mean, because there's a lot of guilt attached. In Germany, we have so much guilt, and that's all we learn in history class, all about the Holocaust. There's always that. I remember going on a field trip to a synagogue, and even to like a Holocaust museum. It's like it's wild, and even being German and stuff. That's like where I remember in school. That was the most memorable and most, I would say, like awkward, you know, moment in my education. Whereas sex ed was just like, you know.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I can't imagine, but that's just, that's a international thing. You know, you say you're from Germany, people will associate a tragedy like that. Just like if you say you're from the U.S., people just think, you know, guns and whatever. Yeah. So you just it just really goes to show we work with our imprints that we have. I saw you have a tattoo that says "I won."
Yes.
What's that for?
It's basically like, I read this book, it's called The Happiness Equation, and it talks about like, you know, we often think like we have to achieve these things and do this and that, but even the fact that you're alive is like astronomical. Like it's like winning the lottery 10 times. Like the chance of you being alive in the universe is so unlikely, and the fact that, you know, if you have a home and you have a bank account, you're better off than 90% of people in the world.
So
like
you're
off the bat.
You're just acknowledging your lottery ticket.
Exactly, yeah. I won, and anything on top of that is just a bonus. Right, but it's like, it grounds you in that,
What a great way to end. Let's end it on that. Dude, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you so much.
I'll link to all your social medias. Not that you need any help. You're crushing it out there. But I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today.
No, it's super nice. Thank you,